Fractions. Above, we have three types of fractions. You know, the word fraction means a part of a whole. Anytime you have a whole cake, a whole biscuit, a whole bag of rice, and you take a part of it, then you have taken a fraction. And in maths, we need to be familiar with three types of fractions. Let's look at them very quickly. The first type, of course, you can see it here on our left. What do we call these? We know these are our decimal fractions. Okay. Here we have our percentage fractions, and here we have our common fractions. So we must be very familiar with these three types of fractions. Let's explain it a bit. Well, you see here we have the fractions represented again, and I want to give you just an explanation of how and why it works. Here, for example, if I was to shade in this part, I have shaded in one part out of 4. So we know that the top number is called our numerator. It tells us how many parts of the whole are shaded in or we've taken. In this case, we've taken 1 out of how many? 4. So we know that the numerator here, the top number, tells us how many we have shaded or we have taken, and the denominator tells us how many parts, equal parts, there were in the whole. And in this case, we have 1/4, or also known as 1/4. Let's move over here, and I want us to see what that fraction would look like as a percentage. Percentage means out of 100. Now, if we were to stop and count all of our little squares here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I won't count all of them, but I hope you will trust me that we have 100 here. And what that means is that we have 100 here altogether, and what we're going to do is we're going to also shade in that same number. And how many would we have? You know, if I was to shade in all of these here that I'm putting dots in, well, how many will we have? Well, count them. Let's see how many you can get. Well, if you count them carefully, you'll see that altogether we have 25 out of the 100. And so anytime we get a fraction out of 100 parts, that is what we call a percentage. So we have 25%. Per means out of, cent means 100. So we have 25 out of 100. So 1/4 is exactly the same as 25 out of 100. And then lastly, when we come to the decimal, well, we know that we have different place values when it comes to decimals. We have our tenths, and this time we're dealing with hundredths. So it's still the same. When I count these here altogether, I have 100 pieces. How many of them have I shaded in so that it's the same amount as the blue one? Well, yes, 25. So 25 hundredths. How do you write that? Well, you know, 0 point. These are our tenths, small t. These are our hundredths. And I want 25 hundredths. Well, I can't write 25 like this because, you know, you can't have two numbers in one place. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to keep the 2 here and the 5 here. And so that is 25 hundredths. So we see that 1/4 is the same as 25%, which is the same as 25 hundredths. So what does that mean